VCT is a cross-media program, actually a very unique media program I'd say in the world. There isn't another university or two-year college in Ohio doing what we do. Started in 1973. It's been visual communication technology ever since then. I wasn't with the program back then. And of course, back in 1973, there was no internet, so there was no interactive media part of it. It was video, photo, and print, right? And really, video at the time was a combination of video and film because they were still shooting video on film back then.
VCT 1030 is a class that all the incoming students take before they begin their other VCT classes, so they kind of get an overview in each of the specializations, which prepares them and helps them to determine what specialization that they want to go into.
You learn how to use Photoshop and Illustrator and InDesign, and then currently they're teaching iMovie, but we're switching that over so you can learn how to use Premiere. You also get to work a little bit in Dreamweaver, so it's a really good course that kind of just brings everything together and works really well if you want to learn how to use just the basics of the program.
A lot of the co-op visits that I've done when I go out and visit students on sites, the employers are saying, wow, we're really impressed by the fact that we hired them to do one specific thing, but we were really kind of impressed that they are able to do a lot of different areas that we weren't even, asking them to do from the beginning, but now they're able to help us out in other ways as well.
The co-op program takes the skill sets that the students are learning in class and applies it to real-world industry, so that when a student is learning about these technologies, they have the chance to grow as an individual, to test out the line of work that they think they want to go into post-grad, and to apply the technologies to real-world environment in industry, using industry partners, both in Ohio and across the United States. Each co-op adds responsibilities and usually comes with higher pay levels. During the co-op, there are 2 evaluations that are sent to the employer and a co-op report that is completed by the student. There's also a site visit that's conducted by a member of faculty in the VCT area between the student, the employer, and the faculty member, where they evaluate the success of the co-op experience.
I've actually had an incredible co-op experience through VG. I've been able to have co-ops in really great places. Probably most notably was at Google, where I was really prepared to survive in that challenging environment with my VCT classes, and that was such a great opportunity. I was able to design things that millions of people saw on the web, and also design things and learn more about my career and the path I wanted to take.
Essentially, college is 90% networking. I would spend most of my time networking with people, and the other 10% builds up what I might learn in class. And the reason I say that is, the more people you know, those connections that you build, the reputation you hold, and the reputation your work holds, those are all very powerful things.
Building your network and getting exposure to different professionals and what all that they've done within that industry is really critical. Also using those contacts to build your future, get involved in industry relevant networking groups, partake in conferences and things in the area, using that network to really sell yourself and to let people know that you're on the job market and what you have to offer is a critical part of the co-op experience.
I actually was able to obtain a full-time offer, so I'll be graduating in the spring and joining Google full-time, and I owe that to the co-op experience of really setting me up to sell myself and be out in the industry and kind of get myself known even before I'm graduated.
I teach in the still photography track, which we have 3 classes in that track. 2820, which is the introductory photography class, which is a lot about just how to use your camera. what f-stops do, what shutter speeds do, controlling motion, controlling depth of field, composition, lighting, things like that, but just a very basic kind of photography course.
I really like learning the different types of things in photo. My favorite is portrait photography. I do a lot of freelance with portrait photography. I guess my favorite thing is that the studio, there's awesome new equipment in the studio that you probably wouldn't get to use on a regular day.
We do have quite a bit of professional equipment in here. We work with Paul C. Buff Lighting strobes. We have a great relationship with Westcott Corporation in Maumee, which is just up the road, who work with us with light modifiers and backgrounds and stuff like that, and they're very good.
As a VCT student, I've learned a bunch about interactive media. We've learned about how to work websites with WordPress.
It's one of these fields that's always changing. The whole track is made up of 3 classes. The first one is this introduction, and I like to think of it as like the boot camp, because students really focus on HTML and CSS, which are the building blocks of the web.
In the second course of VCT, we've learned to incorporate JavaScript and Bootstrap into the CSS and HTML pages we're building. And that's given us the opportunity to create a bunch of really cool stuff, including image sliders and light boxes and that sort of thing, which really, jazzes up a website.
Activate that, and then back to Firefox, refresh. The design paradigm is always to focus on the user first. So we start off with that in mind. Always keep the user in the forefront and think about how to make a site its best for the user. We start from the very beginning talking about mobile-first design, because we know that these websites are going to be viewed not just on desktop computers, but also on tablets and on smartphones.
The print track, we try to introduce the 5, 6 now, I guess, major types of printing that are in the industry. So we teach offset, gravure, flexography, screen printing, inkjet printing, electrostatic printing. We've expanded recently into the packaging end of things.
My favorite part about print is probably the awesome VTech printer in the back lab. It's something that could differentiate you from somebody else in the industry. Some people don't get that kind of exposure like we do.
We also have a CAD cutting table, so we can make some different packaging, and we have the ability to cut it and create artwork for it. In the beginning print class, we talk a lot about resolution and color space, because in print we deal in CMYK as opposed to RGB. We go over some of the basic design fundamentals. We're not necessarily a design program, but we touch on some of the things. We actually print a memo pad by the offset process. We do variable data printing, where within a postcard, certain images and certain type changes based off of a criteria. We talk about inkjet printers, how they work, how they're coming into prevalence more in the print industry. Then at the end we do screen printing, so students learn how to create artwork and then we make screens. We produce it here. Our press has the ability to do 4 colors.
I primarily study the videography end with going out and capturing footage, editing footage, doing motion graphics, and delivering videos, whether it be for film or television.
There are 3 classes in the video track. The basic video track teaches people how to compose shots, how to shoot, how to deal with the equipment, how to do general pre-production, which is storyboards, scripts, shot lists. It also deals with the business end of things, where you have to get permission for people that are going to be on camera. Everybody has to take it, right? So we try to keep it to where you're at least going to have an understanding of what video production is all about.
The second course then goes in advancing that theory and skills with editing and some additional skills with shooting. And then the third class is primarily After Effects based with motion graphics and animation.
We also introduce what's called 2-camera shooting. which allows us to shoot with multiple cameras at one time and then to teach techniques on how to edit those multi-camera shots.
VCTO is the organization for visual communication technology majors. We meet right now Tuesdays at 8:30, and we kind of just do things that you wouldn't normally see in class. We do field trips, we meet with some alumni.
That group is involved in bringing in speakers, having workshops on software, different techniques. They have a photo shoot night where they come into the studio and just have fun learning from each other, learning from their fellow students. They have a screen printing night where they screen print t-shirts and stuff. It's students working with fellow students. It's learning from fellow students. It's students bringing in their experiences on co-ops and maybe out in industry and sharing it with younger students.
Web design, you actually have to learn things. I feel like graphic design was a little bit more software, and then web design is all right, I gotta learn this language.
We have gone to Photoshop World the last 2 years, and it's a really awesome conference where you get to meet with alumni from different organizations and also get to meet with some professionals from Adobe. There's also a trade show where you can go around and see awesome products, test them out, even take pictures of models because they also have lighting setups.
One of the strongest things about VCT are the instructors. Almost every class I've had has had a very engaging professor who really cares about what they do, and it shows in the class. And I have loved the people who come out and visit me on the co-op sites. It's very constructive feedback, and you get to learn more about how you work and who you are, in your field or in a class.
Overall, I really enjoyed being a part of the VCT program. The teachers and faculty have so much experience about the different specializations in VCT. I think that's something that's great about VCT is you can learn a little bit about each different area, but you can specialize in what you really want to work in. Last semester was my first semester teaching in VCT 1030, and it's been great. Some of the times it's little refreshers of how to do certain things in Illustrator and stuff, and it's awesome because even though some of the kids are super advanced and know way more about the programs than I do, so I'm always learning stuff from them.
It's so awesome to be a part of a program that really gets students excited to go out into the working world, and they enjoy the program and all that it has to offer them as well.
To stay viable, of course, we must keep up with technology. It's because we're training our students to go out and work in industry, both in co-ops and then, of course, when they graduate. And since we're visiting our students at co-ops and all the faculty are actually actively involved in the industry, either by visiting co-ops or working with some of the media employers that employ our students in co-op and also graduates. We really kind of keep a good feel for what the technology is doing in the business and what we need to do in our labs to keep up.